Like always, today's episode is brought to you by our amazing sponsors: gluten-free diet water, premium junk clothing, Williamson wines, Good Dudes coffee. Gluten-free diet water. Stay hydrated with a refreshing twist. Perfect for those health-conscious listeners. Premium junk clothing for those who love to express their unique style with high-quality fashion pieces. Visit premiumjunkclothing.com and use code EverydayGSD15 at checkout. Williamson Wine, natural artisan wine from Napa and Sonoma. Good Dudes Coffee, veteran owned by former Navy SEAL Josh Bridges. Every cup is brewed with passion and dedication to quality. Visit their website at gooddudescoffee.com and use discount code EverydayGSD10 for an exclusive offer. And also, don't forget to visit the Everyday GSD store at darinbibeau.com for all your official Everyday GSD merchandise. And now, let's dive into today's episode. How did this go, Justin? You opened up a second Bella Vita at Circle Center Mall, and that lasted about 5 years? Or
yes,
no?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure I didn't say that wrong. But I do have a quick story about Bella Vita. So when I first moved to Indy, I didn't know anywhere, right? I didn't know anywhere. And one of my friends said, "Hey, I'm going to this party." It was like a Sunday.
Oh yeah, rehab.
Yeah. And I was like, "So yeah, where's this?" And they're like, "Oh, it's on this lake and this beautiful place." So anyway, I went, and I will say I had an absolute blast. It was just so not what I was expecting to be here.
Right.
And you created this monster. And I don't know where you took it from, Vegas or somewhere else, but that's basically what it was like. And obviously, Geist is a reservoir; it's not a big lake. But if you're not from here and you go there, you're like, you transform into a different location.
Oh yeah.
And obviously, the food was amazing. We'll probably touch a little bit on that later. You also opened Vision Vapor, which was the biggest ice bar, bigger than Vegas actually. Vegas had the largest ice bar, and it was the 32 feet. And your ice bar here in Indiana was 47 feet. Is that correct?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
And then you transformed that into Chibo?
Chibo and Gilo. Yes.
Chibo and Gilo, which means food and ice. And you had that for about 5 years. Present day operations, you had Flame Burger, which was downtown Fishers. And you also had one in Whitestown. And the cool thing about the Flame Burger, besides that I've had this at your restaurant that we'll talk about next, Savor, is your Flame Burger won the Indy Battle of the Burgers, and it qualified you to go to the World Food Championship. And in the World Food Championship, you got disqualified because you didn't use quote unquote avocado in it as opposed to putting on it. And you did that because you're like, I'm not changing my recipe.
Exactly. I don't want to mess up my blend. You know, I worked so hard on that blend. I was going to throw avocado in there.
Yeah, I love it. And the blend is?
It's brisket, sirloin, and short rib.
Yeah, and it's so good because I know you do not have that on the menu at Savor anymore, that particular burger, but you guys still make it for me every once in a while, and I love it. Obviously, Savor, fine dining concept right in downtown Carmel. You continue the family tradition by elevating Italian cuisine. You have a lot of recipes that you've had at different restaurants and family restaurants that you've just continued to let us, the public, enjoy. Some of my best meals have been at that restaurant. I've got so many good stories and so many good times with you and your family there, so I appreciate that. And obviously, your wife Shelly's involvement extends beyond daily operations. She's also deeply into philanthropy, frequently hosting fundraiser events, organizations such as Third Phase and what is it, Miracle Place?
Miracle Place, yes.
Yes. So not only are you guys just, making money, you're also giving back, which is always lovely. Future projects, which I can't even believe you're doing future projects because you're so busy. H Steakhouse, which is going to be opened here in hopefully a few months, right?
Yeah, we're projecting right now November.
November, okay, and that's in Westfield, Indiana, which is not far from here. It'll be 200 guests, indoor and outdoor seating, and the goal, you'll have featured your USDA prime aged beef, fresh seafood, pasta, cocktails, but your goal is to have your sons, both Alec and Nick, involved in that, and hopefully that they continue to grow, and that's part of their legacy that they'll be able to jump right into. And what am I asking about the bottle service, Justin? You'd mentioned that before the show.
Well, when we had Mike Rappel on, shout out to Mike.
Oh yeah, Mike Rappel. Shout out to Mike. Yeah.
He was talking about all the forward thinking that Henri always did with his restaurants, and they were talking about bottle service, and Henri was the first guy. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you brought bottle service to Indiana.
That's correct. Yeah, when we built Vision and Vapor, it was important for me to create that privacy, to where you could do your own cocktails and the whole mix, because they were doing it in New York at the time and Las Vegas were only two states that allowed it. So we went before the Alcoholic Beverage Commission and presented, why can't we do this? And they gave us the parameters of expectations, security, and then how the cocktail server would have to present it to the guest. So yeah, we were the first ones.
That's crazy. I know you just think bottle service, you order a bottle, brings it over to the table. You don't think that you actually have to, someone had to fight to make that legal.
Yeah, I know,
right?
right?
Or bring that to the table, literally. What you got there? Okay. Yeah.
There we go.
Oh,
You know, one thing about, they say with even behind a bar, a bartender, they can't pour your drink at your bar. It has to be either in a station or it can't be right in front of you. And it's not supposed to be. I know it happens, but it's not supposed to be right in front of you. So
yeah, there's so many rules, right? Okay, and then you're also, just a little more here on your bio, you're also helping out by, I'm going to say, by managing, directing your Fire and Elevate in downtown Indy right now?
Yes. Some friends of ours that own the hotel asked me if I could help out with their food and beverage program because it's been struggling. So they created an opportunity for me to come down there and help them out.
Nice. That's awesome. I like how you continue to give back. And I'm sure, there's 24 hours in a day, but you seem to use them all up.
Oh, yes.
All right, let's back it up. Let's back it up to you're 10 years old. You're a good kid, good in school, a little troublemaker. You throwing spitballs. Or what makes you want to go in the kitchen?
I don't know. I was a hell raiser as a kid. I had motocross. It all started. My mom bought me a motocross bike. I used to love racing motorcycles, and so she buys me a motocross bike. Tells me I can't race motocross.
Okay,
I can only use it in the backyard or whatever. And so I was upset. And 2 years previous to that, my father was killed in a car accident. So with us, our tradition, our godparents were really involved in our lives. And my godfather had an Italian restaurant for 56 years, I believe. And so I got the idea, I was going to go work for him.
And this is Joe?
Yeah, this is Uncle Joe. And I was going to go work for him, on the weekends so I could make enough money to go race motocross. And so I started doing that, and I started really getting involved with working there because I enjoyed it. I watched him work in the dining room. People just lit up when they saw him because he genuinely cared. That was one thing. It's, all about people. Without you guys, we don't exist. And that's the one thing I've learned in this hospitality business is that it's important to create those relationships because we care about the people that take care of us. And so, I really got involved and started working with him more and more. And then I'll never forget this day. I was 12 years old. I came in early on a Saturday to the restaurant. And he was back in their prep room. And this is old school.
Yeah,
this
of course.
Where the vegetables, you didn't buy anything prepared.
Right.
You prepared everything. He had this big, it was like a 120-gallon vat. That's where he called it tomato gravy. It wasn't tomato sauce. We call it tomato sauce, but it's tomato gravy.
Right.
He's boiling fresh aroma of tomatoes, peeling them, putting them in the vat, blending them up, and then putting, they always use meats with it to give the flavor, to the sauce. So he'd have a big bag with sausage and veal, and he'd put that in there and let it cook and marinate with it. But I'll never forget when I walked back there, he said, they call me Junior because I'm a junior. I was named after my father. He says, come here. So that day I learned to make lasagna, meatballs, tomato gravy, peppered beef, and ever since then it was just really cool experience for me.
And you remember that at 12 years old, how well that stuck. And it's interesting if you think about your kids today. How old is Alec? 20?
He's 25. Yeah.
And Nick is?
He's 34.
Yeah. So I wonder if they have a memory right now, or it will come to them when they're 40 or later, that when they were 10 years old, running around in the back of one of the kitchens, doing that.
Exactly.
Yeah. And hopefully, I'm sure they do. It's just got to come out of their memory, right? Okay, so you're 12 years old and you're learning how to make a couple things. Obviously, there's a difference between someone in the kitchen becoming a chef or someone being a professional server or a professional bartender. But at what point in your career did you decide that you're going to make this leap and you want to actually own a place?
Well, it wasn't later on into life. I wrestled in high school, and I went to Arizona State on a wrestling scholarship, and they had hospitality management there as well. So I had hospitality management and account finance. So when I came home from college, I didn't know what I would do, and I was just...
Now, during this time, but during this time when you're in college wrestling, are you picking up shifts somewhere in a restaurant down in Arizona, or no, strictly?
No. I strictly stayed with, sports and partying.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
But when I came home is actually when, I didn't know what I wanted to do, and you know, it was about a year that lapsed and went by, and then I went back to work for my uncle in his restaurant.
Uncle Joe.
Yeah, Uncle
Yep.
Joe, and so you know, I just sort of fell in love with it, and then I was doing landscaping. I was doing a little of everything, and then my mom. I don't know if you know this history about our family. Is my father started topless dancing in the state of Indiana back in the 60s.
I love it.
It was a piano bar, what they called it at the time, and then the Red Garter Lounge, which is probably the most famous.
Oh yeah, the Red Guard Lounge.
Yeah,
by the stadium.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It used to be where the Westin Hotel was.
Okay.
So they tried to take our land by eminent domain because the Red Garter was there, and they wanted to build a hotel there. So
Did you know this, Justin?
I did not, but I did have my prom at the Westin Hotel. There was no Red Garter at the time.
So anyway, so my dad had 2 strip bars at the time. He had one called the Cottages by the Murat Shrine Temple, and then they had the Red Garter. And unfortunately, he didn't get to live out to see the success of the Red Garter, which was the most famous,
Yeah.
you know, in the 70s and 80s. Because what they did is they had it wasn't just dancers. They would have the exotic entertainers that come in and did shows.
Yeah,
you
they
know,
perform.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
traveled all over, and we were the first one. Well, he was the first one to really have that, you know, going. But anyway, so my mom, you know, when I got home from college, you know, I went through the odd job thing, didn't know what I wanted to do, and then they sold the Red Garter, and this was in early 90s, I think 91, 92.
Okay.
And she said she wanted to open a restaurant. She says she sees how I am and I want to be in the restaurant business, so she's going to help me and mold me and shape me into an operator as them, you know, because that's what they were.
Right.
You know, food and beverage, that's hospitality is just in our blood.
Right.
So well, that's when we opened Paisanos there. It was a staple. It used to be called Augustino's Restaurant, and it was a staple throughout the 70s and 80s. And like anything else, you know, unfortunately, if you don't keep up on top of it, you know, and renovate and, you know, take pride in your food, you know, you just die. You know, there's a lot of competition anymore. So that's, her and I opened that venture up for, I think, 7 years. We had that, and then she wanted to retire.
And were you married at this time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
That's how I settled down. As I got married and had a child right away. So that's the only way I could settle down.
Now, did Shelley come from the restaurant industry as well, or no?
No, she was in retail. Hell, she was like one of the youngest managers. Like, she was 19 years old, and there was a clothing store called Merry Go Round, sort of, you know, upscale, you know, clothing store. But
Okay.
she worked her way all up into management, you know, since out of high school. But
We'll have to hold her story because maybe she'll be grace us with her presence and come on the show.
I bought tons of shit from merry-go-round. I remember.
Oh, did you?
You remember Merry-Go-Round?
I remember
Yeah.
merry-go-round. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think I asked her if she wanted to be on the show and she just laughed and kept walking. But
no, you need to get her on.
yeah, no, we'll convince her. Now that you've come on the show, we'll get her to come on. We'll do a different series and we'll just bring the restaurant out of her.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
No, she's awesome. Okay, continue. I digress there.
No, that's okay. That's all right. So, you know, Paisanos, it was a neighborhood staple. You know, we wanted to continue that tradition because, you know, it's funny because you just know so many people around surrounding Indianapolis. And, you know, when you have a place like that, you can bring people together and, you know, enjoy. And it was a really successful restaurant.
Right.
You know, we took a restaurant that closed up basically and, you know, just lost all its, you know, appeal to people, and we created a great, you know, vibe and food and atmosphere, and you know, we had a great clientele. You know, that's where I became a lot of my friends. It's funny, your friendships with people come out of there. Because,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, you know, it's like you and I
Yeah,
mean, we
absolutely.
you know, and it's that bond. It's not about money for me. It's about creating relationships with people. I love meeting people,
Right.
and you grow up in this, you know, environment, and that's what you take with you.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. I think that's kind of a theme with a lot of the other restaurant owners that we've had on. And what's interesting because I think every one of them would be in the industry, then out of the industry, then in the industry and out of the industry. Like one foot keeps them back in, but the other foot's trying to take them out. But their passion and their heart is really in the industry.
Yeah.
And every single person that we've had on so far says the same thing. It's you're in the food business, right? But you're not in the food business. You're in the people business.
Yes.
Obviously, you still have to have a good restaurant. You have to have good food. I mean, and you guys all have that, but you're in the people business. And when you can respectfully entertain the people that are there and the feelings are mutual going back and forth. Like it's my kitchen down the street. You know what I mean? I go in there, it's my
That's
kitchen.
right.
I mean, I don't know how many times I've landed off the plane and I just throw my bag in the garage and walk over, and I haven't even showered yet. And I'm just like, no, I'm hungry. And I want a cocktail, and I want to see, Dave or Shelly or any of the people there, because now I'm home.
Yes.
And you've built such a great establishment, But let's continue. I jumped to savor.
okay.
We're gonna
No,
we
that's
got to
all
go
right.
back. We got to go back. Okay, so now we're how many years into this restaurant?
We're 7 years, and then what transgressed into Bella Vita was there was a developer that was buying a piece of property at Fall Creek and Brook School. It's
Okay.
still a block away from the lake, and he was wanting. When you're a successful operator, people want you in their developments. That's
Right.
just the way it works. You just got to pick and choose the ones you think are going to go very well, and you hope that it's going to go well, because in the end, it's about your location. Because as an operator, I'm very confident. I know that if I have the right location, I have the ingredients to be successful, and I think that's always been the challenge. Because sometimes if you don't look at your locations, then don't do the study of the demographics, and you fail. That's all it's to it. But so Steve Shea was developer. He just bought this piece of property, and he came to me as in 1995, 96. They're tearing down old houses, and they're going to build a retail center there, and asked me if I would do it. And at the time, I didn't have a lot of money,
Right.
and my mom wasn't going to support it. She did. She wanted me to go on my own,
Right.
figure it out how to do it on my own. That's what I guess. That's what parents do back
Right.
then. That's the way they do it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, me now I give my kids what the hell they want.
Facts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but all my listeners that don't know you, that are from, we've got listeners in 20 different countries now,
Oh, really?
all over the world, but that don't know you are just listening and going, oh, I'm interested. Yeah. So you have no idea. Trust me, you have no idea. I love it.
So, 1997, the development's done, and I told my mom, I said, she wanted to retire anyway, so we went ahead and sold Paisanos, and then I moved on to Bella Vita, which, my wife, I think, if you want to talk about getting a push, she gives you a fucking push.
Yeah, you can swear.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, she gives you a push. I mean, she's, that's the one thing I think we make great partners, honestly, is because, sometimes I'm hesitant and sometimes I wait, but she made sure I got this done because she was excited, and we saw the opportunity at Geist as well because it was a growing community. Household incomes were strong, and I mean, the Blue Heron was the name of the restaurant, and that was really my only competition if I was to go out there.
Right.
So, we opened this up in 98, Bella Vita. I named it Bella Vita. It was a beautiful life. She came up with the name. She always comes up with good names. She's
Right.
creative with that part of it. And so, we created, an atmosphere. We studied colors, and we started really looking at all aspects of atmosphere because we had the ingredient to be successful, because if you have great food and great service, you need the great atmosphere. And at that time, dining was changing a little bit, so people were looking for the great food. They wanted the vibe and the atmosphere. So
Right.
now, I'm thinking, well, hell, I got to figure out all three of these ingredients. So that's we really started. She did a great job because she did all. We hired a designer, and that was like a waste of money because she got upset, and her and Shelly butted heads. So
Surprising.
so then we changed all the colors and the design of the place the way Shelly wanted it. So, but it was a very successful restaurant. We created that same thing. We met so many people, and the support of them was just unimaginable, honestly, because I never thought we could do that kind of revenue that we were doing. And,
Right.
And the guests dining at our restaurant, in a small little area. Geist, it wasn't a real big area at the time. So.
And how many seats was that restaurant?
It was 160 seats.
Yeah, and you guys are busy all the time.
Yeah, it was busy constantly. I mean, and that's the one thing is, the opportunity when I started crushing the Blue Heron is what I did because their food was terrible. I mean, it was just an operation. It was just, I was just surprised they'd have that bad of an operation on the water. And I'm not speaking bad of anybody.
No, not at all.
I'm just saying, take pride in what you do if you're going to do it. And so the marina owner came to me and asked me if I'd be interested in taking it over. And, so I looked at Shelly and I says, what do you think? I said, because we had a good thing on Brook School, it was controllable. And now I'm talking about doubling, almost tripling my seats. with this new building, 9,500 square foot. And
Oh,
I'm the one that created all the monster out there because I created the beach part of it, that component. I created a patio twice the size of what they had before because I wanted to take, I want to optimize it. 'Cause
Right.
It's on the water. One of the few spots besides Rick's Boatyard that's on the water. And people love in the summertime, dining al fresco, what they call it. They want to be out by the water. So I did it. I sold my restaurant. They didn't keep the name Bella Vita, but I just sold the assets of it. And I was there 5 years till 2003. And then I started building the one on the lake, which I put a lot of money into just to renovate the building. Developers sometimes, they get the best of you because they entice you with either a low lease rate or they give you, incentive as far as working capital to put into the building. And, I made really good money out of the first one. So I thought, so I put a lot of my money into it. And we were there 14 years. And when we first got over there, it was overwhelming. Just the seats. I saw us losing quality of food because we're rushing stuff out. I saw the service with 40 different servers. It was rough. So.
But lessons learned, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you did that for how long?
Too long.
Too long.
10 years.
So then what was the next venture after that?
Well, during that time, a friend of mine had talked me into, he was looking at doing a restaurant. He wanted to do a restaurant lounge, and we did the Vision Vapor there. And this is what goes back to what I was telling you before about location.
Right.
It wasn't a great location. There was a restaurant there that failed. It was hard to get into. You could only turn right into there. You couldn't turn left. And to get out of it, you had to go around the backside and then come to a stoplight.
So a bad location.
Yeah, it was a bad location.
It's not part of the 3 ingredients that you need.
Yeah, so obviously my testosterone levels were too high, and I thought I was invincible and I could do anything. And that was a loser. We put a lot of money into it because there's 3 levels we had. So the problem is you start traveling, you look at different concepts and ideas, and so Vegas. I mean, that's a city without a budget.
Right.
You've been there, you know what it's like. So when we'd take our trips to Vegas to get ideas for the lounge, get ideas for the restaurant. So I see a restaurant inside Mandalay Bay, and it's called Ariel's. Yeah. And they had this 40-foot tall wine tower, and it had wine racks going up through the center. There's glass around it. Then they have all these lifts, and they got what they call wine angels.
Yeah, didn't they have like girls in seats that would go up and get them?
Exactly.
Yeah,
they did. They were in the harness.
I remember this.
Yeah. So we did it on a smaller version. So I built a 20-foot one, and
you hired little people.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
That's hilarious.
So we started creating all these ideas and putting them together, and lo and behold, we come up with Vision and Vapor. So Vision was, somebody said this is cool because it's your vision. I think you should name it Vision. But then they put a Z instead of an S because of trademarking or something. I don't know what the hell it was.
Yeah.
So, and then Vapor, I came up with the name Vapor because that ice bar, the ice bar is what we saw at one of it was a Russian bar in the same hotel in the Mandalay Bay. It was a Russian bar there, and it was cold as hell in there. There was ice blocks all around. Then they got the ice bar, and it was
that's the one where they give you the heavy coat.
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
exactly.
The red square, right?
Yeah, red square. You got a good memory, Justin.
Yeah, that's right.
So, I thought, okay, and I was like looking at their ice bar. I thought, that is cool. I'm trying to figure out how they do it. So the next day, I went in the beginning of the morning because I wanted to see it, and the manager let me in. It was cool, and we were talking,
which is surprising, right?
I know, right?
Especially in Vegas, they're like, "Nah, dude, the door's closed.
That's right. Get out of here.
You're not seeing us.
Quit bothering us.
Go along, man. Where are you from? Indiana?
I know, right?
Shoot.
Damn visitors.
Yeah.
So he was showing me the ice bar and how it was made. So basically, it was almost like a skating rink. So it had a tray, and it had these coils inside the tray. And then when they turn it on, the water comes into the tray and it freezes it.
Right.
And then the compressor just runs constantly to keep it frozen. And I was like, okay, that'd be really cool. I want to do that. And then I said, how big is yours? And they said, it's 32 feet. We have the largest in the world. And I was like, oh, really? All right. So
you're like, 32 feet, 6 inches. Here we come.
And another piece of trivia, that guy's name was Kelly Jones.
Oh my God, you remember that?
I know who that guy is. I worked for him at Planet Hollywood in Chicago.
Wow.
Small world, right? So you take that concept, that idea, because you just saw it, and you come back and you build a 47-foot one, if I remember right, 47
feet. It was two sections, and it was 47 feet that connected together. But I wanted to outdo everybody. So.
Yeah.
But it was good.
And this is now, just to correct me if I'm wrong. This is the one that's not at a good location.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just going to throw this out there. Hypothetically, let's say that same bar was where 3 Up is now in Carmel. Do you think it would have been successful?
Yes.
More successful?
Yes, I definitely do.
Yeah.
Because the biggest complaint I got, it was, you listen to your guest.
Right.
And that was the complaint. It's so hard to get in and out of this place.
Right.
It is so hard, and and that's what it is. I mean, think about you. You got the convenience. You just walk down the street. You got 3 restaurants, and that's why that's why you're as loyal to them, is because they're there. It's easy to get to, and you don't have problems.
It's easy.
Yeah.
And another piece of trivia. This is the same restaurant, if you remember, when Mike Rappel was on, where he made Gene Simmons leave.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's right.
That's the same restaurant.
That's right. Rappel did do that. Yeah, and if anyone hasn't watched that episode, go back and watch that episode, because he's got some great stories.
Yeah.
Talk about meeting Trump and all kinds of people just sitting around, like putting himself at the right place at the right time. Anyway, shout out to him. Great guy. Okay, continue.
So we're developing this concept, and I'm thinking, oh my God, what have I got myself into? Because it was a monster. 3 levels. We got the dining on the first floor. Second floor is a mezzanine, sort of a jazzy lounge, and then you got the DJ and the techno crap upstairs, for the younger generation. And we spent more than we wanted because we don't own the building. But when you look at spending money on an interior that you don't own, you try to limit the amount you're going to invest, because you don't own it.
You don't own it.
You can't take it with you. And we went overboard because we thought, okay, this is going to be the greatest thing ever, and it's just. So you start looking at and you're planning, and then that's when I met Mike Rappel. I mean, this guy was my savior, because creative genius as far as marketing and advertising. And I said, Mike, I need your help with this. I need this club, because if you don't have a cool stuff going on, people won't come.
That's right.
So, I mean, his email, I remember it was flash ads on emails, where you pulled up the email and you'd have the flash before you could even have this stuff. This is 2004, and nobody knew what flash ads were. So Mike says, well, I can figure this out, and then we started coming up with ideas for, just creative stuff, even like, doing stuff in the dining room as well as the upstairs, because I didn't want to neglect the dining room as well. So, we started doing different tours of different regions for wine tastings and dinners and stuff downstairs. And then upstairs in the lounge was, I think, the biggest challenge, just because you got to keep that generation interested if they're going to come in. So we did like one thing, we paired up with BJ Nichols over at Reese Nichols, Diamond in the Ice. So we buried a diamond in the ice, and, the people, they did some, I can't remember what the gimmick was, but they had to get a pick. They had to do something to get a pick to get in there and see the closest to the diamond to the ice. So the funny thing was Shelly buries the diamond in the ice, and she didn't remember where the hell she put it.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's great.
So we had to melt the ice bar down to see keep everybody's picks in place and melt the ice bar down, because we didn't know where the damn diamond was.
Oh my God, that is hilarious. And she's just scratching her head going, I could have sworn I put it over there. Was it over there?
Yeah. But, it was a lesson. I mean, like anything else.
And what was the location of this place?
It was 82nd and Allisonville.
Okay, did that end up turning into something else right after you guys?
Yeah, I think the Chinese restaurant.
No, was it?
After we changed the concept over. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. What was it called when you had it?
Okay, it's Vision of Vapor. Then we changed it. We were there 5 years, and the brand started losing. So we thought, okay, let's try something else. So then we went my Italian heritage, with the Italian food. So we did Cibo and Gilo.
Okay, so so I wasn't putting 2 and 2 together. So I was there when it was Vision Viper.
Yeah.
Vapor, yeah. Because I remember, because it's right on across the street's the plaza.
Right.
Like a bunch of little shops and
exactly.
Yeah.
There's a little center right there.
Yeah, and that's what you mean. You couldn't turn in because it's because the median.
Oh, it's the busiest intersection it was in the state of Indiana. It was the busiest problem is that everybody tried to avoid it. I hear stupid me. I'm thinking, okay, busiest intersection, we're gonna be busy. But if it's not convenient to get to or get out of, people didn't want to come.
Yeah.
So this is the funny story. Me and Mike Rappel. So Mike Rappel calls me and he said, "Hey, Michael Jordan's agent called me. He wants to come in, but he wants you to keep it quiet." And I was like, "What?" I said, "What's he doing in town for? He's not playing basketball." So I started laughing. He said he owns a motocross team. I said, "Michael Jordan has a motocross team. AMA Supercross is in town." And Mike says to me, he says, "So he was coming to town, but he don't want you promoting it." I said, "Yeah, right."
Yeah.
I literally told everybody.
Everybody. And you told everyone to tell everyone.
I can just see Mike fuming.
Yeah.
It was funny though because he had his own security, and we gave him a section up in the bottle service area, and there's girls trying to climb over the glass railing, get in. I mean, it was just chaotic.
No one knows he's here. Wink, wink. Oh, that's hilarious.
So that was my Vision Vapor, and then after that it's just I was you always try to figure out, okay, what can I do, because you hate to accept that you failed at something,
right?
And it was really hard for me to accept that this is failing. I spent too much money, and it's just not going to work. I don't care what you did. And so when Tim and we talked about, okay, well, what do you think? And maybe change it over to Italian. Maybe that'll help.
And this is Tim
Durham.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So he was my partner in that one. And so we changed over Chibo and Gilo. It was the same thing. We barely did any revenue to get by. And
right.
That's when we decided we sold the concept, and they changed it. I think it was Chinese or Japanese. I can't remember what's in there now.
Right. So. And it's still a shitty area.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay, so what was the next venture after that?
So next venture, I said, okay, so I still have Bella Vita on the water at the time.
And you can take a drink. Don't worry.
Right.
We got plenty of time.
So I still have Bella Vita, the moneymaker. And
so Bella Vita is making money. You lost a bunch of money in this last venture, and you're like bummed out about it, but you're like, I got to figure out what's going on. You learned a lot of lessons from it.
Oh yes.
Obviously, when you fail, that's when you learn your best lessons. Unfortunately, they're sometimes hard to swallow, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But like that's called life.
Yeah,
but
part of it, right?
Yeah, that's
makes us who we are, right?
Exactly.
That's what they say.
So now you're still doing very well with Bella Vita. You're getting some good cash flow coming in. And what's the next?
So at Bella Vita, I mean, I'm gonna put it to you this way: it's 1,000 seats. I mean, it's a big restaurant.
Yeah.
And it's easy to get burned out. So I'll never forget this day. It's on a Saturday night. I'm aggravated. I had 2 kitchens at the time too. So I had one on the patio. I figured it out after like the first 2 years. I got aggravated. The ticket times were long, 45 minutes to an hour. People were like pissed, and I won't wait. And then consistency of the food wasn't good because we're rushing it out. So I built a kitchen outside. So the kitchen outside serviced the patio, and the kitchen inside serviced the restaurant. And we had a mezzanine where we did private events as well.
Okay.
So we're cranking along. I mean, it's going well, and I've got it figured out. So I fine-tuned it, and then a friend of mine came up with a stupid idea about rehab on the beach, which got me in a lot of trouble with the Hard Rock in Las Vegas. But so we started doing our little rehab party. I built a small pool, nothing like the one in Vegas, and then did cabanas. We did bottle service in the cabanas. We ran cabanas, and we had day beds and all that stuff. So, that went well. The mistake I made, though, is I didn't keep it upscale enough, because in the beginning, Mike Rappel and I had worked with Veuve or Veuve. They call it Veuve, I think, the champagne.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was very classy. It was really nice, and then I hired a new manager, and so we got sidetracked from the champagne thing and did, I don't even know what, Bacardi, all their flavors. That was back when they come out with all these flavors, and it just changed the whole clientele.
Right.
And I think that affected my business my food business at the restaurant. The one thing I've always told my sons is you're a restaurant before you're a nightclub. The nightclubs come and go. I mean, they come and go. You're lucky to get a year to 2 years out of a nightclub. You better be thinking ahead. If you're gonna be in the nightclub business, you better be thinking 2-3 years ahead, because they don't last.
Yeah, because the whole concept will change. What's hot and what's hip, where it's a cool place to go, not to go. Yeah.
So, that's what happened to me. I got consumed with that beach because I wanted to. I mean, it was a revenue generator, and anybody in this business knows the money in any business, if you're food and liquor, is the liquor.
Right.
I mean, that's the most profitable part of a restaurant. You know, you always look at ratios, food to liquor ratios. You want to be that 65, 35, 70, 30%. You know, that's food to liquor. So food being the majority and then still having that at least 25, 30% of it being liquor, because that's where you make most of your money. Otherwise, you barely make any money in the business.
Right.
So the beach, you know, they came up with the idea of the rehab Sundays, and it got out of hand, and it was bad. So there was a few times I shut it down. That's how bad it was.
You're like,
because I'm affecting. It's right there next to my patio, which I got families.
Everyone go home.
Families bringing their kids, and they got girls with their tops off. I mean, it was just it got out of control. So I shut it down. But
didn't you have Coolio out there one time?
Oh yeah, we did have Coolio. Yeah.
Oh no shit.
Yeah. So anyway, and I sort of tamed it down after that, and then there was one Saturday night back to where I started.
But I got one question. But no one was doing that at this time in Indiana. So, and you mentioned somebody like kind of got in trouble with Hard Rock. Is it because you used the name Rehab?
They said that they have a trademark on the name Rehab, and I pissed the lawyer off. I told him to fuck off. I said, "Here's the dictionary meaning of rehab." I didn't use the X. They did the rehab with the RX at the end. I just did rehab.
Right.
And I sent them the meaning of that, and they sued me. And
isn't it weird that they would care about that, though?
I know, right? He's saying...
I mean, it's weird, right?
Yeah,
weird. It's not surprising.
But they said the reason why I can't name it Rehab is because, even though I didn't use their logo or anything, is because it's confusing. I said, really? Las Vegas and Indiana are confused?
Yeah, who's confused?
So strange.
So I'm in New York City. I'm going to fly to Vegas, and somehow I ended up in Geis, Indiana, on my bachelor party at this place called Rehab, and I can't find the Strip. I'm still looking for the Strip and the casinos. I'm so confused. God, I've got to sue someone for that. That is wild.
So after that, I shut it down and paid my fine. My attorney told me to settle. So he said, it's not worth fighting, Henry. He says,
because they've got too much money.
Oh, yeah. He says, they got attorneys on the damn payroll there. He says, you're not going to win this thing. So I shut that down, and we just started operating, the Sundays as normal.
Yeah, Sunday's beach party. Yeah, no, exactly. Just kidding.
But I feel like that stint of that rehab, that summer that we had it, when it was wild and out of control, it ran a lot of my guests off.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing, if I could turn back time, I would change right now, because if I think about it, I need these dining guests because they come in, they're loyal, and they come in and they have expectations. And I think, I didn't live up to the expectations that they had, and that's why I feel bad about it. I do.
Right.
It bothers me till this day.
Oh, wow.
Even though this is 10 years ago, I still recall it. And, it bothered me when I saw a girl topless, and then there's a table of family right up on the patio, and they could see this.
Enjoying a beautiful cooked Italian meal.
And after that, it was like, it's time. So back to my Saturday night. So I was frustrated. Servers, you go through stints with servers, okay? So the one thing I've learned about servers, you have ones that are professionals and the ones that are just doing it to make some extra cash.
Correct. Yeah.
And ones that have to work because they need to pay, college tuition.
Yeah.
So over that 15-year period, I had the first 7 to 10 years were really good. Then it was like the next stage that I received, the servers that were coming in just didn't care. They didn't really care. I mean, just didn't give a shit. And, I was tired of it. They're calling off on a Friday night. And when you have 40, I needed 40 servers to cover our sections.
You got 1,000 seats. I mean, let's not get ourselves here.
Yeah, so I went over to my Micros POS. I came out of the kitchen because, as you know, I love being in the kitchen. That's just, I drive people, and that's what I love about the kitchen. I like driving these guys and pushing them because that's what they enjoy. They love being in the kitchen. I think is it's an adrenaline rush for me. To
me, I feel like it's the captain of the ship.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the engine.
It's the heart.
It's the heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I came out of the kitchen, because Shelly came to me, because I'll tell you, she came to me, she says, we're short-staffed, we're going to have to close a couple sections. We might have to close the patio bar because we have one bartender, and there's no way he'll be able to keep up. And so I came around, and I pulled a shift report. And between servers, bartenders, hostesses, bussers, valets, security, I employed, just to be successful on a Friday or Saturday night, 101 people.
Okay.
And
101.
yeah, so that was burning me up because I'm thinking there's just no way that I can get 101 people to care, to actually give a shit. And so when I got home, I told Shelly, I said, you know something? I said, I don't think I can do this anymore. I don't want to do it anymore because I'm ready to kill somebody. I said, I'm just angry. I said, because our success depends on everybody. It's not about me and her. It's about everybody. And that's the one thing, that I reiterate with my staff at Savor is the same thing is it's about you. It's not about me. I just help, you want to lead people. That's people need, and that's the thing is it's your vision. It's what you've created, and you want them to understand where you're coming from. So I said, I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
So we sold the restaurant.
So you just sold it?
Yeah, I just sold it. It sold within 30 days, which was nice. So it's
pretty
quick. But the thing about the restaurant business is, you look at multiples, businesses that sell multiple. I think we're one of the lower ones. We get 2 to 3 times, our net earnings. So, I mean, it's you think about it, oh yeah, you made a lot of money. I didn't make a lot of money. So.
You're like I'm surviving and getting out of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so you sell Bella Vita.
Okay, so my stupid idea then after is I don't want to deal with servers or anything anymore. So I was talking to Mike Rappel and I told him about my, that was when fresh casual. It's not fast casual, fresh casual. Okay. That's that middle segment between fine dining and casual dining. And so you have casual dining that's like your, what's it called, Applebee's and those. So fresh casual is like a step lower without the service. So basically you're doing everything fresh ingredient, but it's counter service. You come to the counter, you place your order. So, I got the idea. Okay, so I want to get burgers were hot.
Yeah.
Okay, 2014, 2015, burger industry was hot. I mean, people just love the beef. So I thought, okay, well, if I'm going to do this, I got to do it right. I said, so, I started playing with burgers, and different blends, and because you just couldn't use a ground chuck. That's just not me.
Right.
I was raised, my mom, it's funny because, everybody puts their influence towards a male figure in their life. My mom pushed me as a kid. She was out there throwing the football when my dad was killed in a car accident. She took over a role of a father for me. I remember, I wanted to be a baseball pitcher throwing wild-ass pitches and hitting her in the eye and stuff because I wanted to pitch the baseball, but it's, she instilled in me, whatever you decide to do, you need to be the best. And so I want to be the best of the burgers. So I really researched it. So I started doing different blends of beef, and it was like 40-some blends that I kept trying, to incorporate. And getting the ratio was the key. It's just not like you divide it up a third and a third and a third. If you're doing a 3-run burger, you're figuring out these ratios to get it right. Because if you get too much, like the brisket, you put too much brisket in there, it was like really lean and dry.
Right.
Okay. And then if you had too much fat, things shrunk up and it was greasy and juicy. So that short rib and brisket and the sirloin combination, is ratios. So I went to a meat company up in Detroit, Wolverine Meats, and I told them what I wanted to do. And I said, I want to create a blend. They go, oh, we have a blend. This is,
No, you didn't hear me. I want to create a blend.
Exactly. See, you hear what I said?
Yeah.
So, we went through like 40-some different batches till we finally found the ratio. So I took the blend home, started my grill. I tore up so many grills at my house just because I was trying to find the mixture of wood. Because I hated the gas. The gas has no flavor.
Right.
I mean, if you think about it, the days before there was natural gas grills and, people utilizing gas, you cooked with wood.
Yeah. Go out and start the fire, and
Exactly.
it gets ashy, and then that's when it's ready to go.
So I started looking at these wood fire grills, and basically they're aluminum boxes.
Yeah.
And I remember cooking with one, and man, there was like so much heat being dispersed from the box. So I started thinking, okay, well, why don't I just build my own? I knew a steel fabricator, and he said he just had an engineer from Purdue. He's interning with him. He said, just sketch up something you want. We can figure it out. So we started playing with the grill. See, these grills have the big wheels on them. You ever seen them?
Yeah.
Yeah, they got the big wheels, and it moves the platform up and down. So I was talking to the designer. He says, "Well, so what do you like about these boxes that you showed me these pictures of?" I said, "Well, for one, it's not holding the heat in. I need to hold the heat in so it cooks the burger. I want all that heat inside, not coming from the outside, because I don't need it cooking me while I'm cooking."
Right.
So he said, "Okay." He says, "This is what we'll do. We'll create it like a chimney." He said, "We'll put fire brick on the bottom, fire brick around the sides. We'll make it all stainless, so that way none of that heat escapes."
Too bad he didn't know me back then.
So then he said, what we can do, he says, "I don't like that big wheel. He says, it takes too long to rotate it." He put a hydraulic on the platforms, and we had a little, switch that we
little lever.
just raise it up and down. It was like, so I developed my own grill. I even put a patent on it. I mean, it wasn't cheap. I mean, the ones that I was looking at were like $5,000-$6,000. This cost me $30,000 to develop. But, like I said, I wanted to do it right. So then we developed Flame Burger, the concept. Okay. And, so it was about salads. We did wings on there. And then I created some cool, like appetizers, zucchini fries, and
I like zucchini fries.
Yeah, fresh mozzarella, wheat bread. And these, it's funny because these food purveyors come in and they say, "Oh, well, we got the best mozzarella stick." I said, "I'm not using a frozen stick." I said, "Just give me the fresh mozzarella, bread it myself." Same thing with the zucchini fries.
Yeah.
I'll bread my own.
But I can give it. It's much faster in the bag. Exactly. Yeah, and it tastes like it's in a bag.
You're right. It does. Yeah. It's all breading. So, then we started creating, I guess different appetizers. When I started looking at the menu, I think of things that I like and then what I think our guests will like.
So at what point at Flame Burger did you say, you know what, my burger's so good, I'm going in this competition?
So our first year we were open, we were invited. Indianapolis Monthly was doing, I don't even know the name of it. It wasn't the burger battle.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Burger competition.
Yeah. So they asked me if I would be in their burger competition. So I said, sure. So we're cooking on top of this parking garage thing, and it was for a charity. I can't remember the charity at the time.
Because you and I have talked about doing a steak competition with several of the other steakhouses in town. And unfortunately, none of the steakhouses that we've talked to want to do it because they don't have the capabilities to bring their technique to cook it. Everyone has their own excuse or own answer. And I'm not throwing anyone on their bus by any means because they're all on the show and they're all great restaurants in their own. But it was interesting when you came to me and we were going to donate the money. We were going to do it at the VFW. Here in Carmel, Post 10,003, shout out. We were going to do it, and either a burger competition or a steak competition, whatever the restaurants agreed to, and I couldn't get anyone to do it. Yeah, we're going to revisit that.
No, you need to, because it's not that hard.
No.
I mean, everybody in the restaurant business has done catering, off-premise catering.
Yeah.
All you're doing is just taking some supplies out, and it's simple. You got one ingredient. Whereas you're catering a wedding, you got 20 ingredients.
Yeah, exactly.
But so then Indianapolis Monthly asked me to do their burger competition, and we dominated it. I mean, it was. I mean, everybody's making fun of me because I come out. I built I call it the mini beast. So the little mini version of my big wood fire grill, the big stainless one I have over at Flame Burger. And, so we're cooking with wood, and they had like all the, normal, the steakhouses were out there. So St. Elmo's, Ruth Chris, Peterson's, they're all out there. And then they had the burger joints too, Brew Burger and all them. And they did it was a People's Choice. So, I mean, we won the People's Choice. And so then the following year, the Indie Burger Battle, which was downtown, what's that cool street right there? They made it for the Super Bowl. It's
in between Illinois and Meridian.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
So they hosted it there, and they asked me to do it, and it was funny because it was
Harry and Izzy's on the corner.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they had, there was like 40 different vendors down there doing it, and the proceeds went to Building a Better Tomorrow, and that was for African schools, for the children.
Yeah.
And so we did that that first year, and we were the first ones ever to win. They did a People's Choice and a Critics. We won both Critics and People's, and then so I get a certificate to go to the World Food Championship,
right? Where
it's all different categories of food. And so I went to the food championships, and so I make it to the final round. And the final round the challenge was you had to incorporate avocado. And I said, okay. So I was like, okay, well, I took the avocado, made guacamole, and took some fresh tortillas and fried them, put tortilla strips on there, and did a guacamole burger.
Yeah.
So the judge
Sounds good.
the judge looks at me and says, how did you want to incorporate the avocado in the burger? And I said, what are you talking about? I said, it's on top of the burger. They said, no, it's supposed to be in the burger.
You're like, yeah, I'm not ruining my burger. You know how long it took me to make this blend?
I said, well, screw up my blend. I didn't want to put it in there. So I ended up getting second place. But anyway, so, I had the flame burger concept for 5 years, and every year we won the burger battle with it. But, it's like I said, I mean, my goal was always, if I was going to enter a competition, because I'm not going to mention the restaurant, but famous restaurant here in town, he was cooking next to us. He says, boy, you take these competitions seriously. And I looked at him and I said, what's that mean? He says, well, your wood-burning grill. He says, I said, well, that's how I cook my burger. I said, I'm going to cook it the same way. I'm not going to cook it on a flat top unless you cook yours on a flat top, because he had his little flat top out there. And so I looked at him and I said, so you compete to lose is what you say, because this is a competition. You just said that, right? I said, I compete to win. I don't know about you.
Yeah. And it's interesting because Savor, which is one of the restaurants that you own now, which is a great restaurant down the street, you cook everything over flame.
Yes.
Over wood.
Yeah. I'll never go back to cooking on gas.
Yeah, and it's funny because a lot of people don't know that, and you can smell it when you get in the restaurant. You can taste it in the food, obviously. Right. But if you don't know it, and you go back there and look, and you're like, anytime I have guests from out of town, that's the first thing I want to do is show them the kitchen, because I want them to be like, oh, wow. Because they're like, should I get a steak? I'm like, I mean, I would if I were you. It's up to you. I mean, you could get a pizza, too. They're great. You can get the pasta. It's amazing. Right. But, I mean, you want a steak over an open fire? You don't have that back home.
No.
So who came up with the concept for Savor?
Well, a friend of mine, I got tired of the fresh casual.
Yeah.
Because it's just too competitive. And I put another flame burger in another bad location.
Yeah.
Closed it down after 5 years because it wasn't making any money. So I wanted to get back into the upscale. We call what I do polished casual.
Okay.
So I'm not fine dining because I don't use the white tablecloths, but I call it polished casual because I don't want it to be the intimidating part where, it's fine dining, you got to be dressed nice and everything. I want you to come in, dressed casual.
Right.
So
knowing that you're going to get good food.
Yeah, and that's what it is. We serve the best quality of everything, and so Shelly and I started talking, and a friend of mine said, you need to look at this spot in Carmel. Even though it's not the space wasn't designed for a restaurant. It was designed for office or retail. It wasn't really a restaurant space. And so I started looking at the area, and I was like, it's strong. And just a quick story, I want to tell you this. So back when I had Bella Vita, we were doing a fundraiser for Mitch Daniels. Mitch Daniels is a close friend of our family, and I love Mitch Daniels. And Mayor Brainerd was there. And this is back when he was doing the Arts District, when it was just starting.
Okay.
And Mayor Brainerd, Mitch introduced me to Mayor Brainerd, and he said, I really want you to put a restaurant over here. He says, we hear great things about you. And so I met one of his city economic development people over there, and they're showing me the area. And I'm looking around, and this is after I lost my ass on Vision and Vapor. I'm looking around, and I'm thinking, oh, my God, man, it's like, it just was premature. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, God, there's just not much at all yet. And so, it's funny. It all came back around.
Yeah.
So in 2017, 2018, I started talking, when I was going to move on from the flame burgers. My friend says, just check out the spot. It should be done like 2019, and I said, okay, well, so I started looking at, we started working, negotiating a lease. And so Shelly and I started visiting Carmel a lot more. And the one thing I found is, because I live out at Geist, is all my clientele and all my guests and all my friends that were at Bella Vita, they all moved to Carmel. And, because when you're younger, you have your kids growing up in the water, wakeboard and all that stuff. It's fun. Then as you get older, it's okay, I'm beyond that. So it's
you're like, I got some built-in clientele already.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I started looking at the dining scene here, and I always said, there really wasn't anything. And I think Anthony's just had opened. And I think really that was the only, upscale fine dining restaurant.
Yeah, because Monterey took a while to open.
Yeah, because they opened a year after I did. But, there was just a lot of casual dining spots here. That's all it was casual dining, And I thought, I think this would be a good fit for us. And,
and for the city.
Yes.
Yeah. It's funny because I was on the phone with Jim last night, former mayor, and because on Wednesday you guys had a VIP event that I was at, and then Thursday I stopped in Anthony's Chop House and just stopped in and talked to Zach and some of the guys, and it was funny because Jim was looking for me on Tuesday at Savor, and then they said he was on Wednesday. He came into Chop House, and so when I talked to him on the phone, he's like, "Are you at Monterey?" I was like, "But it's
trying to find your circle of
restaurants." It's great though, and I think by you having Savor and Anthony's Chop House and Monterey, and now 1933 is down the street. I think it just brings more people in.
Oh yeah,
and your food is absolutely amazing. And I compliment all the restaurants. They all have their own touch, But the thing that I love about you guys is it's the fire.
Yeah, it's all about the fire.
And everything's homemade. You don't even have a freezer.
No, we have a little freezer for our ice cream, and that's it.
Yeah, you don't have a freezer. I mean, in reality, you don't have a freezer.
I don't have a freezer.
Yeah, everything is fresh. I forget what there was a fish dish I got. I feel like it was Alaskan salmon. Don't quote me. But Alec was working. And I said, hey, I was with a customer from out of town that I brought him there. And I go, hey, how fresh is the fish? And he goes, it got caught 2 days ago and shipped here yesterday, and we're cooking it today. I'm like, I know. I was doing that on purpose. I was doing that on purpose. So Savor's obviously a success.
Yes.
Let's talk about your next venture. How's that going to work? Because I feel like you and Shelly, besides your staples like Dave and some of the people that are there, Dave, obviously professional bartender, when we were talking about the difference between a young person trying to just pay some bills or a young person maybe doing this as a stepping stone until they go to get into a different career. And then you have the professional. And what I love about the restaurants down here, we have a lot of professionals that are working in them. Like for Anthony's Chop House, you have Big Zach, and you have these professionals that have been in this industry for a while. You guys, Dave's been at so many good restaurants, and he has such a good clientele. So what happens at the next place? How are you? Because you can't duplicate yourself. You can try. Obviously, you're trying to coach your kids and have them be developed. Kids have their own path. So the goal is to open up this next place and have a successful restaurant with the family. Are you still going to be able to spend the time at Savor and the new restaurant? How's this going to work? So, I know Logan does a phenomenal job. Yes. Logan's shout out to Logan. I don't know if he listened to the show, but you're his mentor, for lack of a better word. There might be a nicer word, but I think he does a phenomenal job. Yes. I think you've taught him very well.
And then in the end, I think that's what you do, is you surround yourself with good people and people that have potential. The steakhouse came about is, my mom always told me stories about my father. She said the one thing he always wanted to have was a family business to where all the family is involved. She said he wanted to build an empire. And so my sons, unfortunately, I steered them away from the restaurant business because of the hours. I mean, I was hardly around when they were growing up. I was around for their sports, and, that was about it. But, to be successful in the way I was raised is you were at that business. You were at your business taking care of it. And that's, it's amazing because I look at a lot of these corporate restaurants and they're able to do it. And I think, how come I can't do that? But, for us, it's taking.
But they're not the same.
No,
they're really not.
It's a different feel.
It is.
You go to the corporate restaurants, you wonder who the management is. And,
and you know.
Yeah. And so my sons, I said, Nick, who graduated from Ball State, he played football at Ball State, and he had a finance degree. So he went to work for Prudential Wealth Management, hated it, went into depression, didn't like it at all. So I let him run one of the Flame Burgers just as a sabbatical, take some time away from it. And he fell in love with it, and he thrived. Because when I left Flame Burger, it was making money. And then when I hired a manager to go in there because my attention isn't 100% into it, it wasn't making any money anymore. And then Nick got it thriving again, for me. And so he was a natural for the business.
Right.
And then Alec, he went to high school at IU and started as a bouncer at Kilroy's, which everybody knows Kilroy's is a big bar.
Yeah.
And started as security. I don't know, he's not a bouncer. But anyway,
security.
So he worked up to bar manager, and then his senior year, he was the general manager. And so it was inevitable for him.
Right. And he helps you down at the venture downtown now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So both of them have been involved with me in the restaurants, and I thought, how cool would it be? H comes from the name Henry, which was my father, and both
Because you're a junior.
Yes, that's right.
See what I did there, Justin?
So, both my sons have the middle name Henry. I gave them my dad's middle name. So I thought, to give them their own identity, own concept. So they're involved with the design and, just the location and everything. Because we've been working on this for about 3-4 years.
Yeah, I feel like you guys have been talking about it for a while. And I didn't know where you guys were at with it until, obviously, we talked before the show. But I'm excited. Unfortunately, I will be what do you call it? A traveling customer? Right. Is that what it's like? when we leave the reservation, I'll definitely go visit. Right. And by the way, it's like 10 minutes from here, just for the record. But 10 minutes is far, man, as opposed to 30 seconds.
Especially for you.
Yeah. I think it's awesome. Before we wrap up the show, we've been at it almost an hour, and I know you're busy, but I do want to mention that you also like to race cars.
Oh, yeah. Love it.
And
I've been trying to talk you into coming out the track with me.
Yeah, probably won't do that. But who knows, maybe. But you like to race cars. You guys give back to charities. You like to go boating. And I think it's important that people know, because when talking to you, it sounds like you work 24/7. And you kind of do, but somehow you're able to focus and put time with the family and go on vacation with Shelly so you guys can, you guys like to go to the Bahamas. You like to get away and just kind of separate yourself from the business while the business runs, and then you come back in and get back to the grind. Yeah. But you're able to do that, and I think it's tough for a lot of people. And I think one of the things that you have an advantage of over some of the other owners in the restaurant business, you've been doing it since you're 10 years old, and you're not 25 right now, right? Oh, yeah. So you have tribal knowledge that I think a lot of people can learn a lot from. Yeah, and I respect you as a business owner, but and love you as a friend.
I appreciate you. Believe me.
Thank you. Justin, do you have anything before we wrap it up, or?
Oh, I would just say, I don't know if Henry remembers this, but, hearing him talk and hearing about, how much he appreciates his clientele and how much he gives back, when Bella Vita was kind of at its prime, I eloped to Vegas and got married. And when I came back, I needed to have a reception at the last minute. And so they let me bring in, I wanted my theme to be Vegas, and they let me bring in gaming tables to Bella Vita.
And they got sued by Hard Rock.
Right. But they catered my whole wedding and gave us the upstairs, and it was an incredible night. And he didn't have to do that. He was just like, yeah, and he knew me through some people, and I was a client, but he was like, yeah, we'll help you out. Yeah, bring him in. Do whatever you want to do. It's your space. And
like, family focused.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was incredible, and I just know he's got that heart, and I think that's why he's got such a good, loyal clientele, because both Henry and Shelly are, they love being like that with their clients.
Yeah, I did not get married there or have a reception, but I totally agree. I do want to give a shout out to, is it Chris Pickey?
Oh, yes.
Chris Pickey. So I have a T-shirt from you. Obviously, we give out Everyday GSD shirt because you truly do get shit done. But I want to give a shout out to Chris Pickey from Fire, because I've been told by you that he is definitely getting shit done down there. Oh, yes. And it's an uphill battle, but he's getting after it. So I do have a shirt for him that I'll have you give to him. And did you want to end it with one last thing about just getting shit done? A message to the audience?
Yeah, I think you turned me on to it, because I'll never forget seeing the sticker on one of the bar printers, and Dave, our nostalgic bartender, I said, what is that? And he says, that's Darin's new company. He said, GSD. And I said, I love that saying. Yeah. And it's become like my motto ever since. This is 3 years ago, 3 years ago. And that's what I tell people. That's my compliment to them. Yeah. Says, you're a GSD. Yeah. And so now I've stolen. Don't sue me, though.
No, okay? Believe me. I do have it trademarked, but Everyday GSD. But I wish everyone would share it and do it, because the world would be a better place. Oh, yes. Brother, thank you. I'm looking forward to talking to your wife to see if we can get her on the show, Shelly. She's a rock star. Your kids are awesome, too. You run a great restaurant, and we're happy to have you in our city.
Well, thank you so
brother.
much.